folks, welcome back to Software Testing Hacks. In this manual testing series, we will learn what is verification and validation. These two terminologies are very important and it is one of the most commonly used words in the day to day life. So let's get started. Let's understand what is verification testing. It is also known as static testing, where we are ensuring that we are developing the right product or not. And it also checks that the developed application is fulfilling all the requirements given by the client. So, as it says, verification is just a high level, or we are just going through what is there in the documentation. For example, you are given with a requirement documentation. First, what you will do, you will verify it. You will have to go through it to understand what is present. So that is what is called verification. There are different verification that happens. It is not only with respect to the requirement. So verification testing includes different activities such as business requirement, system requirement, design review, code walkthrough while developing a product. When it comes to developers, they will go once they develop a particular piece of code, or even testers, in case of after developing the test automation, we will have to conduct a review. Okay, so once that review is done, once the code review is done, then only it will be approved, right? So that's where it is just a verification. So in this process, the code will be just they will go through each line to understand or to verify if they have written it correctly or not. In code walkthrough or even the code review we can give, so or peer review. So all these type of reviews which comes under verification testing. So basically, in this verification process, we are making sure that whether we are developing the right product or not. Okay. Coming to validation testing. Validation testing is also known as dynamic testing, where we are ensuring that we have developed the product right. So there is a slight difference. Okay. Here we will verify we have developed the product right or not. But there we will ensure that whether we are developing the right product or not. Correct? So there is a slight difference. And also it checks that the software meets the business needs of the client. Basically, in validation testing, we will have the application in front of us and we will validate the application whether it is meeting the requirement or not. Basically, we testers, while testing our application, will put certain values to input fields or the application that they have given to us. So, and we will test on it. So that's where we are validating the application. Okay, so that process is called as validation. Validation testing is a testing where tester performed functional and non-functional testing. Here, in functional testing, it includes integration testing, system testing, and there are many different types of testing, right? And when it comes to non-functional testing, it includes user acceptance testing. So, in case of validation, we will execute the code and then we will wait for the output. What is the output? Okay, but in case of verification, it is just the code walkthrough. So there will not be any code execution. Okay, so let's try to understand what are the exact differences between verification and so here are some of the differences between verification and validation. Let's understand them. So, in case of verification, we check whether we are developing the right product or not. As we already discussed, whether we are developing the right product or not, we will verify. Okay, in case of validation, we check whether the developed product is right or not. So, once after the product is built, that's where we will do the validation of the application. Verification is also known as static testing, whereas validation is also known as dynamic testing. Why? Because In case of verification, we will go through line by line and then we will verify. Okay. But in case of validation, we will have to enter inputs and then we have to perform the testing on a particular application or given application. So that's where verification is called static testing and validation is called dynamic testing. Verification includes methods like inspections, reviews, and walkthroughs. Through this, we can achieve the verification. But whereas in case of validation, it includes testing like functional, system, and user acceptance testing. There are multiple other testings as well, like non-functional testing also can be covered. Whereas in case of validation, we will enter the value to the application and then see how it is behaving. Okay, whether it is withstanding whatever the values that we are putting or whatever the load we are putting, all this will be verified as part of validation. Quality assurance comes under verification testing. Through verification testing, we can assure the quality of the application. Okay, whereas the quality control comes under validation testing. If there is any quality control is required, such as like if there is any bug or any issues, that we can control with a QC or quality control technique. So that's the reason it comes under validation testing. The execution of code does not happen in validation verification testing. Sorry. So execution of code does not happen in verification testing. Okay, so understand that because in case of verification testing, we will go line by line and understand whether the particular whatever the statement is written is correct or not. Okay, but so that's the reason there will be no involvement of the execution of the code. In case of validation testing, execution of the code happens. Why? Because we will be testing an application. So behind the scene, there will be a piece of code which will be running. In verification testing, we can find the bugs early in the development phase of the product. Okay. In case of verification testing, if there are any bug, find it bit early. Okay, before implementing the code itself, we'll be able to find, or during the implementation also, we can find using the verification testing. Validation testing, we can find those bugs which are not caught on the verification process. Okay, if there is any hidden or uncovered bugs, so that will be identified while doing the validation of the application. Verification is done before validation testing. Okay. So first verification will be done before performing validation testing. But completion of the verification, then the testing takes place. Okay. So first we'll have to go through the verification and then the validation comes into picture. So basically these are the main differences between verification and validation. Hope you understood what is the difference between verification and validation and what is verification and what is validation. If you have liked this video, please do like it, share it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.